events unfolding. The latest in so is the final picture of that Ram Lalla Virajman, finally there in Ayodhya. Kartikeya Sharma here with me. Kartikeya, the pictures on your screens, pictures that people have been waiting for a very long time, have now been unveiled.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the deity's form has been sculpted by a person from Karnataka. And if you look at deity, the deity is in a Bal Mudra. Deity has been carved out from a particular stone which has a color called sham. Indian gods generally are not have a combination of both
A dusky
feminine and manly features. For example, the most beautiful avatar of Vishnu is feminine in nature. They have movements like this, which are generally associated with femininity, but then the gods are supposed to imbibe the best of two, like Ardhanarishwar, Nataraj, if you look at them. So the deities, the form that has been that will be Pratishtha on 22nd, and something which has been put in the sanctum sanctorum of the temple, with the word which we use is sthapit, not consecrate, because the land itself is pure, because the Lord was born there. I think maybe people would have expected this to have happened on the 22nd, but on that day. But the deity itself now being available for people to see, I think it's going to break the net.
Okay.
You know, something which people had been waiting for such a long time. People were talking about it. People were waiting for it because the Prime Minister will be there, Mohan Bhagwat will be there. You know, entire
coterie of
government
people
officials,
who matter in this
people, country,
absolutely,
they are going to be there.
The who's who of the government.
Who's who the government is going to be there, and now it's part of for the public gaze. The deity of Lord
Ram Lalla.
Ram Lalla, yes, the case was Ram Lalla Virajman.
I have to say Ram Lalla.
Yes, Ram Lalla Virajman was the case. So for it to be there, I don't know how the religious, because we don't have a clergy, it's not like Islam, how the people associated with the function is going to respond to it, because वो कहते हैं ना, पर्दा भी उठाना पड़ता है, प्राण को प्रतिष्ठित करना पड़ता है. Now this photograph is out, it's there. I think it's beautiful, you know. I'm falling short of words. It's beautiful. It has come unannounced, the deity of Lord Ram, you know. But yes, one of the members said, you know, they wanted to go for the whiter part of the complexion. But then most of our gods are not white. The gods are not white. Gods are of sham color.
So let's spend a minute talking about that. You know, Indian gods usually depicted in a very dusky to dark colors. That is exactly the origin of us as people of this country. And most of our idols are expected to fall in line with that. And I think this idol that people have been waiting for many, many years, some would say hundreds of years, finally has come out, open for people to look at it, open for people to finally, you know, pay some sort of devotion that they've been waiting for such a long time.
When you use the word dusky, Indian gods are not Gora gods. एक हिंदी में शब्द होता है श्याम. कृष्ण श्याम रंग के थे. भगवान विष्णु को श्याम रंग में देखा जाता है. शंकर को श्याम रंग में देखा जाता है. हमारी और हमारी जो देवी होती है, she is also not white, fair. If you look at our Devis, some of them are black, like Tara, Kali. Some of them have a yellow hue, Baglamukhi. So you know, some are old, Dhumavati, some are young. So you know, the variety, or I would say the diversity in our the so-called sacred complex is immense. But a lot of people say that, you know, the whole focus is on Ram, who is the who's not the complete avatar of Vishnu. Krishna is supposed to be the complete avatar of Vishnu. कहते थे कृष्ण 16 कलाओं में निपुण है, पूर्ण. Ram 12 कलाओं में निपुण थे. But then the word is Ram is अनुकरणीय. You can follow Ram. That is why you say Maryada Purushottam Ram. You never use that for Maryada Purushottam Krishna. Or you never say Siyavar. You never say, the word is Siyavar Ramachand ki jai. The God himself is also feminine. A lot of modern feminists have blamed, the way Sita left. But then if you look at the other side of it, Ram is the only God who can be referred via the feminine side, which is through his wife Sita. You don't say Shiv, husband of Parvati. You don't say Vishnu, husband of Lakshmi. But you say Siya Var Ramachand ki jai. So that is one part of it. The second part of it is that Ram, despite knowing that he had godly sense, was tied to the rules. So even when he had to fight and make his way into Lanka, he worshipped Lord Shiva. But the Krishna on the other hand would say, I am the God to Arjun. Main khud Bhagwan hu, and he shows him the cosmos during the war. So there was chal and kapat as one of the kalas of Krishna, but Ram deployed none. He suffered for it. The chal and kapat were done by Kekai, but it was Ram who went for the vanvas, despite knowing it was chal and kapat. So that way, the story of Ram is very, very powerful. And you see, though the various political dispensations have tried to contest it in their own way, but they couldn't stay there for long. In 2007, the UP had to change the affidavit. I broke that story. They had written it, the mythological figure Ram. It was on Ram Setu, that the corridor which the DMK was trying to build for a port development, Setu Samundram, if I am not wrong. And the minister was Ambika Soni. She was heading the Department of Culture because she was also part of tourism. And the affidavit was changed in the Supreme Court of India. So I would say,
so more than just mythology, it's people's belief.
People's belief, and I would say, and last
and
part,
Hindu philosophy.
I don't know how to put it. You are the better person, Karthik. Who will be joining us. Will be able to take through. Ayodhya, a lot of people think is just being developed as a religious site. There is. I'm sorry how to put it this way, but there's commerce to it,
Of course.
There's an economy of pilgrimage. There is like Kashi Vishwanath corridor. So you have thousands of people coming to Banaras, and that money is coming. So there is a business side to it, like Jagannath Puri corridor. So the business side of Ayodhya, that's how I would like to put it, or the sort of economy which is being built is 10 times more than what you can imagine, or what Banaras corridor has done for the Kashi, or for the people of Banaras. So the Ayodhya,
this will be an economic corridor.
You have airport,
in times to come.
You have
Absolutely.
a modern train station, modern entire city has been rebuilt. It's like the urban renewal mission on steroids. It's like that, and people underestimate the economy of pilgrimage. When you redo these sites, you are talking about circulation of your own money. Prime Minister say, you tell me if I would like to go to Bali, or I'll stand in the queue and take a permit for Lakshmi. Maybe I'll go for Bali, it's easier than that. But in my family, everyone would like to go to Kashi Vishwanath corridor because pilgrimage is a different exercise.
Absolutely.
So there is a business side to Ayodhya, and that is why, as very rightly, I must give credit to Rakesh Kar on this, our English class editor. It's about both Vikas and Virasat. You see, these words are not being used by him, but all the major politicians are saying, ये संस्कृति का मामला है, राष्ट्र का मामला है, मंदिर राष्ट्र का है. They are not saying Hindu समुदाय का है. So there is Vikas, which is development, and there is Virasat, which is culture. So, we have to, since we are talking about Lord Ram, we have to place him in the contemporary context also, Shweta.
All right, and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is speaking on Ayodhya.
But he's not giving any interviews.
He's not giving, but he's speaking. He's at a press conference. Let's quickly listen into that.
प्रोग्राम के और बिना किसी उसके अगर लोग थोड़ा सा धैर्य रख करके अपनी बारी का इंतजार करने के साथ यहाँ के लिए कार्यक्रम के अनुसार आएंगे तो किसी को भी असुविधा नहीं होगी. इस प्रकार की व्यवस्थाएं यहाँ पर की जा रही हैं और प्रदेश सरकार, स्थानीय प्रशासन इसमें भरपूर सहयोग करेगा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन पोर्टल भी होगा ताकि ऑडियंस को
सभी प्रकार की सभी चीज़ें इसमें की जा रही हैं। स्थानीय प्रशासन के साथ लोकल स्तर पर हम लोग इसकी व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं और प्रदेश में हम लोगों ने इसके लिए बीट प्रणाली भी लागू करने के लिए कहा है, जो निचले स्तर तक लोगों से संवाद बना करके उनको लाने और उनको व्यवस्थित तरीके से दर्शन कराने में योगदान दे सके।
जिला स्तर पे किस तरह की सुविधाएं?
देखिए, हर प्रकार की व्यवस्थाएं होंगी, उसके लिए हम प्लानिंग कर रहे हैं। जैसे ट्रेन्स आएंगी यहाँ पे, ऐसे ही लोकल स्तर पर हम राज्य से बसेज की व्यवस्था की तैयारी करेंगे। नहीं, ये श्री राम जन्मभूमि तीर्थ क्षेत्र न्यास इसके बारे में तय करेगा और जब से वो तय करेंगे तब से दर्शन की प्रक्रिया शुरू होगी।
Was the Chief Minister of UP, Yogi Adityanath. What an appropriate moment. Kartik Malhotra also with us here in the studio. Hi, Kartik. It is a significant moment. It is, as you know, Kartik rightly pointed out, it is about Vikas. It is also about Virasat and what it will result in when, as far as Ayodhya is concerned. You know, every time there's been development religiously, it has been followed by economic development, which is what is also happening in Ayodhya. We are seeing massive investments being made. This could be potentially a pilgrimage corridor in India very, very soon now.
No doubt it will be. And look at also geographically where Ayodhya is positioned. How far is it from Lucknow? I think it'll take you just about an hour or so from Lucknow to get to Ayodhya. From Prayagraj, you can get to Ayodhya. Overall, I mean, there is obviously a geographical context to the location of Ayodhya, but I think more importantly, this entire concept of temple economy has been around forever, not just in India, across the world. You go to Jerusalem, you go to Bali, that Kartikeya was referring to, you know, you go to any of these pilgrimage sites, they actually attract a lot of tourists belonging to a certain religion, and also those who are just history buffs and fascinated with religion, whether or not they follow it, to just go and visit those landmark locations, landmark areas anywhere in the world. Look at Indian examples, for example, you know, look at Puttaparthi, where Sai Baba's temple resides. Look at Shirdi, look at Tirupati, look at Vaishno Devi, look at Vaishno Devi, right? Look at Ajmer,
Infrastructure.
look at Ajmer Sharif. So there are enough and more examples within India where temple economy is pretty much driving the economy of that region, giving employment to people, making, you know, shops flourish, making garland providers and prasad makers flourish. So overall, you know, this whole temple economy has been a very, very old concept. It hasn't yet, at least in my lifetime and the little history that I have read, been at the scale at which we are seeing it unfold in Ayodhya. We are talking about highways, we are talking about the airport, we are talking about investments coming in by way of hotels, hospitality. We are talking about airlines making announcements already to start commercial operations into the city.
Right.
So I think at one level, of course, there is this physical infrastructure which the government has built by way of road connectivity, rail connectivity, Vande Bharat trains, you know, making a pit stop at Ayodhya, if not as the final destination. But at the same time, I think over time, it is going to attract private investments. If it
has
continues
already
to be,
come to think of it.
course,
You've got
but I
big
think there will-
celebrities buying massive, you know, pieces of land near Saryu.
Yeah, correct. So there is so that is private investment, of course, right? But you will also have corporate sector investment by way of five-star hotels, by way of restaurants, by way of you know,
Hospitality sector, ecosystem.
shopping complexes, malls. I think the whole area is bound to flourish now, and it's just that temple economy, as I said, has been an existing concept. The scale at which Ayodhya is likely to develop is unprecedented to my mind.
Absolutely unprecedented, and the development, of course, continue. We keep tracking all those details for you here on News9. Pictures on your screens right now.
Can I add one thing
Yes,
to it?
Kartikeya.
You know, you spoke about Jerusalem. You know, 50% of the tourist sector of Israel is around either the Jerusalem, you know, the areas where the Christ last walked, or it's in the West Bank, Bethlehem, you know, where the Christ was born. Two places. And you know, you have people from South America to India, from Goa to America, either in Jerusalem or in West Bank, Bethlehem. That's one. And the second part is there is also another I would say uniqueness to the Hindu pilgrim sites, and that is it becomes both religious and cultural. Like for example, you go to Banaras, then you know you'll come out and you would like to go to the Chaatwala and come back. You know, there are different experiences which get inbuilt. You would like to take a ride on the boat and come back to the ghat again. So you know, the food economy, then you have that small vendor economy, which in terms of small artifacts, everything gets inbuilt. So when we are talking about Ayodhya, there are other types of economy which are being built, which is in terms of food, small services, and other things you are going to buy. And yes, you are bang on. Earlier, the connectivity between Lucknow to Ayodhya or from Ayodhya to Allahabad and Banaras was not nice. It would take me 2.5 hours to reach Ayodhya, and then you would cross that small bridge. It was very tough. You know, Ayodhya was I remember I wrote an article. It was like a decaying city, because there was nothing much. Now, for Ayodhya also becomes a tourist hub. A lot of people from different ideological perspectives said you have transformed a religious and sacred site to a bigger tourist or site of an economy. But in a modern world, you can't deny those aspects. As he rightly pointed out, even in earlier ancient times, you had temple economy. You had people investing in those temples. They were like the banks. So both things happened parallelly. I think it's in the Victorian India where we disconnected the temple from the other side of the business which it was involved with. If you go to Madurai, you come out of the temple, the busiest food street is bang opposite.
So, all I want to add to what Karthikeya is saying, and I think this is something that the government should be considering already, because there are enough prototypes available within India to actually take lessons from. The biggest challenge that Ayodhya had faced up until now, and I visited Ayodhya I think last about 4 years ago, the biggest challenge is the streets are narrow. The streets to the Ram Janmabhoomi go through these little narrow passages, hardly motorable, and if there is one car going in, there is absolutely no room to maneuver even for pedestrians or cyclists, leave alone another car coming. Add to that the whole sort of, the hilly terrain up to the other temples in the Ayodhya vicinity outside of Ram Janmabhoomi. Again, very, very difficult to motor your way through.
Absolutely.
But there are examples of how, when you talk about tourism as a larger concept and temple tourism as a specific concept, there are examples with, let's say, Amritsar. Amritsar, the Gurdwara, the Golden Temple, that entire area has become only a walkway.
Yes.
You cannot take your vehicles inside.
Absolutely.
Look at Taj Mahal, look at Agra, Taj Mahal.
You've got to
you
park,
will have to park. You take a
Absolutely.
ghoda gari or you take a rickshaw or
you
you
walk.
walk it. There is no other option. So I think at one level, all of this is going to add to cleanliness. All of this is going to add to convenience of those who want to go ahead and visit the temple, and just make the environment that much more peaceful and serene, if not from a religious perspective, then definitely from a tourism perspective.
I think very rightly put, I'll again go back to Jerusalem. You go to the old city, you can only walk. There are no cars inside there.
Absolutely.
You can't even use your motorcycle there except the residents. So everyone, thousands of people who come there, they only walk.
I mean, look at the Vatican City for that matter. The Vatican City is pretty much a country within that, hardly about a kilometer or so of radius. You cannot enter. You've got to park outside.
So there is absolutely. So there is an opportunity here, and whether that opportunity would be utilized by the government or not, that is to be seen. But what sort of footfall are we expecting, Karthikeya? Massive, thousands, lakhs of people on the first day itself?
I think lakhs of people, but I think they will be regulated. For I think first 4 months, it's going to be regulated. It's going to be, I think, 5 to 10,000 per day. It's something like that. Because the temple complex has been prepared, but there is no place to stay in Ayodhya.
Okay.
There are no hotels in Ayodhya.
So no overnight stay?
You have those lodges and you have those old age houses. There are no hotels. Unlike Banaras, there are no hotels in Ayodhya. You don't have big hotels neither on the Faizabad road or the road which can connect Ayodhya to Gorakhpur or Allahabad or Banaras. So that way Ayodhya is not like Kashi. Ayodhya is not like Kashi. Ayodhya is not like Amritsar, where you have infrastructure already available. So first thing first, they will need to build infrastructure. In the earlier parts of Ayodhya's life, I would say tourism will originate from Gorakhpur or Lucknow and will come back. It's like day's trip. But unless and until you build hotels there, like a sort of a hotel city like Aero City, something like that, we will have to wait for that. For that, a lot of things will need to be acquired.
So public-private partnership, I think that is what we're looking at, Karthik,
I
going
think
ahead.
most importantly, there has to be this government will, the intent of the government to make sure that coming to Ayodhya, the city, and then specifically to the Ram temple, just needs to be very easy to navigate.
Seamless.
There has to be convenience, there has to be comfort, there has to be safety. All of these aspects have to be built in. I think it should not just be one moment of joy where, you inaugurate the temple and then you just leave it open and people can just come in, go out without these basic conveniences, services being made available. I think that focus will have to come from the government. Those incentives will have have to be provided by the government. Land acquisition will have to be enabled by the government. And it's only if all of this ecosystem comes together will you see any sort of private or corporate capital coming in.
Absolutely.
Until then, I think the ball definitely is in the court of the government, and the government will have to have a fairly large concrete policy framework in place to lay out this sort of, roadmap or this blueprint of development of the region. Not just Ayodhya. I would repeat, it's not just going to be Ayodhya and the vicinity of the Ram temple. Everything around it, right? So like coming from Prayagraj with further leads over to Banaras or coming from Lucknow on the other end, I think our people flying in directly or taking the train directly, I think this entire region will have to develop for the temple economy to flourish, for the city of Ayodhya to flourish, for people who have been living in Ayodhya, hoping, many of them, I would say, hoping for this Ram temple to be built one day, waiting to find employment opportunities. I think all of that will have to be created, because just the temple alone is not going to cut it for the larger problems that loom large in that area. We will have to look at employment, we will have to look at safety, we will have to look at comfort of tourists, we will have to look at the entire infrastructure ecosystem coming up.
Tirupati, I've been to Tirupati, so I can describe Tirupati. There's a part of Tirupati where it's closed, it's environmentally well taken care of, but you don't have much hotels or lodges. You have those private rest houses by big corporates, and then you go to the city, which is like you can stay there, you have 5-star hotels. The food rules don't apply there. So Tirupati, there is a Tirupati model. So I don't know whether the Tirupati model is going to be applied in Ayodhya or not. I have no idea, but Tirupati
what sort of model do you think will be applied?
I think
what are your
Tirupati model is a very good model. See, there are a lot of people who would like to go, but they would like to come back and sleep in a 5-star hotel. There are different types of people who come to pray. There are people who would like to stay next to the temple complex. Big corporate houses over a period of time have built their guest houses there. It's not available to everyone.
Absolutely. But you have a fascinating understanding of that geography. So I want to understand from you, as far as adjoining cities to Ayodhya is concerned, what are the possibilities of development of those cities? When you talk about 5-star hotels to the economy of quick service restaurants, because infrastructure at this point in Ayodhya doesn't allow for it to be dug out and dug in within a day's time. So for the entire the system to develop, or for that entire chain to develop, what sort of cities do you think will play a good role?
Question, because Ayodhya is one place which doesn't have a satellite city, and Ayodhya in itself is not a city. It's a small town. That's the word. It's not a city. It's a small town, and Ayodhya will be required to be rebuilt. You will need to rebuild Ayodhya, and most of the construction of Ayodhya has been last 100 years. So you don't have a lot of ancient construction in Ayodhya. The topography has been built over a period of time. So Ayodhya will go through layers of construction and development. And most important of all, basic amenities will need to. Ayodhya is surrounded by agricultural land. Let us understand. It's not like Noida next to Delhi. It's not like Rewari next to Gurgaon. It's not like Navi Mumbai. It's not even like Tirupati. Tirupati is on a mountain top, and then you have a town. From the town you can see Tirupati, and then you go to Tirupati. It's a biosphere. You don't carry plastic there.
Right.
So you have to. आपको कांच की बोतल ले जाना पड़ता है. So I mean, say what sort of eco rules will apply there? I don't know in Ayodhya, but Tirupati you have eco rules. You don't. There's no. You don't get those small plastic bottles. You're not supposed to carry plastic. It's a plastic-free zone. So you carry your own bottles to Ayodhya. People are coming down from various parts of the country. Most of them when they come out of the airport, they have all bottles. So the people are going to the Tirupati town. So I think ecologically conscious Ayodhya is the best Ayodhya, because ultimately a massive tourism or a big tourist site generates.
Absolutely.